So I decided to make this before I got even more calm, and possibly decided not to make this uh, episode of Fun with Flame. And also, if you're new, hey, welcome. You are listening to Fun with Flame. I'm your host, Danieltheflame, and today I'm going to talk about. I always say today. I can't just go in this episode. And this episode, I'm going to talk about One Piece. Now, I'm not a stranger to One Piece. I actually very much enjoy the anime and manga. In fact, I'm currently up to date with the manga as well as up to date with the anime as of today. Yippee, yippity doo dah. And that's actually the problem I got because I actually fell off from watching the anime for a good good chunk of it. I believe I left off of the anime about like episode 9 uh 900 and I was about 909, 908, 9010, and I just caught up and it's already at like 929 episodes. As of right now, they're at 929 episodes. So just like let you know exactly where I am in the series. So like that's so at the at me making this, they were at 929 episodes. So um I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I've read it. I'm more so enjoy. Well, I've read all of One Piece far more than I have actually seen every episode because there's a lot of episodes I've skipped. A lot of flashbacks, fillers, things like that. Stuff that stuff stuff that's unnecessary. I found completely unnecessary to even waste time watching. Is it was a chore. It was a chore and it was a bore. One of the reasons I got off from watching it was actually because of one of that factors. They kind of introduced a flashback, or they was going back in the stories and doing some stuff that I was just like, I already read it, so I felt no need to sit back and watch it, so I would skip it. And I do that from time to time. Hell, sometimes when I'm watching it, well, even in trying to keep up with it now, since everything that's going on, I had nothing but free time. I just decided to catch back up to watching it just so that could be something to knock off my list because it was one of the easier things that I have to sit down and just fully commit to while this new season of stuff has started of anime because I've been looking at Tower of God, Kingdom, and the anime where it's like a boy's the eighth son. I read that also, so that's why. Um, Also, the Tower of God is amazing. Well, it will get better. Please, if you're someone who likes anime and you're listening to this, trust me, Tower of God gets a hell of a lot better. I just hope Crunchyroll can do it justice up until that point. So, I digress. So, with me catching up to One Piece, I basically came to a realization that I started to get when I was watching the whole cake arc. Is that what it's called? The arc when he was on, when they were on Big Mom's Island. Um, and that basically is that the anime of One Piece is basically starting to. Uh, it's not bad. It's just deteriorating in quality. Comparing the anime to the manga is now becoming far more um, just a hell of a lot easier to see exactly where the manga surpasses the anime because the anime is having this terrible time at staying true or keeping the spirit of the manga intact. This is very hard to describe, but I'm gonna try it as best as I can. Um, the anime has horrible pacing. The anime has a tendency to quickly go into certain aspects of the storyline of One Piece that initially would kind of offsetting because in the manga they were able to quickly go over certain aspects by just it since it was separated by panels they were able to quickly usher in and change whatever was necessary to be changed because the severity of the situation was typically balanced out correctly in in the manga. So even though a situation was harsh or critical or something like that, the manga had the situation happen and be played out. And then later when it was mentioned or the importance of that incident is mentioned later on, you then can look back onto that incident and then go, oh man, that there was a reason for that. That's pretty cool. While while watching the anime, I've noticed, since I know incidents that's coming up, when I'm looking at the anime now, an incident that basically is later going to be an important factor later on, I they stretch the hell out of it, and it's very annoying because it's kind of like the show is putting in your face, this is important, you gotta remember this, is gonna come back later, don't forget it, don't forget it, we're gonna play like 15 fucking flashbacks showing it as soon as we mention it or whatever, and that's exactly how they play out, and it is terrible. They basically make the entire episode grind to a halt to just stretch out one simple issue that honestly in the manga, because they quickly went over it, the impact of it is that much greater when the twist or whatever the big reveal is because of said incident is actually showcased to the audience. So the anime does this and it screws up the entire pacing of the show, which makes the show damn near almost unwatchable. I find myself skipping through an episode rather than actually sitting down and enjoying the episode. One of the other aspects and terrible things of One Piece is that basically, if you are an avid One Piece watcher, then you know the cardinal rule when it comes to watching the One Piece, which is that you skip the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds of One Piece. You have absolutely no reason to look at the very first 5 minutes and 30 seconds. If you have to sit there and wait for your video to load or anything like that, or you particularly don't care for the theme song, you skip the first 5 minutes. This actually varies throughout One Piece. In the beginning, it wasn't that egregious, but after 900 episodes and this constant need to remind you of every little fucking thing, it has become a chore to even watch One Piece because you already know I have to skip so much to even get into the actual show. And then when you watch the actual show, again, here comes the pacing problem, the show itself is just grinded to a halt. So you're stuck on one episode that's basically covering just one small minor event that eventually is typically taken up in like a chapter in the actual manga. And yet they try to stretch this out into an episode. When it has been proven time and time again that typically for any regular manga, a good chapter could make up at least 2 episodes, possibly 3. If it's a fight scene or whatever, you typically got 3 episodes on your hand. But with talking and bringing up stuff and things like that, all that goodness, you have at least 2 episodes that should be covered an episode that should be covered for every 2 chapters. While with One Piece, they try to stretch out each episode in order to fit the span of said chapter. This is a huge no-no, as it makes the show really, really bad. Again, this goes into the pacing problem. It makes everything so slow and egregiously long. Typical things that were summed up fairly quickly are stretched out really, like, just repeating words again, but our typical things that are summed up fairly quickly are stretched out long for absolutely no reason. And the thing is that if you don't understand, the politics of anime and how manga and anime are done and like the production that it takes and what they have to go through when they're making stuff, then typically you don't read the manga. When you're looking at this anime, you'll kind of be flustered by it. You'll be wondering, like, why is it taking so long for this minor character to get beaten by these characters that I've seen destroy monsters like damn near gods in People of Power, but then this little minute whatever dude shows up, and then they're actually wasting time trying to fight them. And this goes into the politics of anime. One of the things that One Piece has to suffer for is the production of it. One Piece has over 900 episodes. And because of its ridiculous, and it's still one of the most popular anime today, and because of its ridiculous popularity, there's a call to produce so many episodes of the anime. This is actually a huge bad thing when it comes to anime. This is typically the reason why a lot of anime now opt for seasonal type releases rather than just being on a string of episode after episode after episode because it gets tiresome. You see that in the quality of the anime. Um, Typically, because of how quickly they're able to do the animations, and like I said, one episode can cover 2 to 3 chapters of a manga, they tend to fairly catch up with the manga quickly if the manga itself is not finished. One Piece is one of is such a case of what's happening right now. Where the anime is, it's not, it's still fairly close to what's happening in the manga. It's not that close, but it's still fairly close. And you could have an incident like much like with Inuyasha and Naruto. If you don't know what Inuyasha is, I'll just say Naruto, where the anime itself can solely catch up to the manga, and in order to push for time, they create fillers. And fillers are basically made up things in the anime in which are just able to sustain the people who are watching it. Typically, you got to remember these stuff are shonen, so they're for little kids, but it's to sustain the kids that are watching it so they're not uninterested in the show. It's kind of keeping towards the general idea of what the show is going, but it what the filler is has nothing to do with the overall story that is supposed to be. It is just literally a time filler. It is there to waste time so the manga can keep pushing out more content, and then the people who make the anime can have more content to work with. That way they don't over compromise each other. And that's all well and good. That's fine. This is something that it happened in Fullmetal Alchemist. The original Fullmetal Alchemist, they only had like the first 5 to 3 volumes done, so the anime itself is just based off of those first early issues, while they weren't actually finished with the real overall story. So then the team behind Fullmetal Alchemist only had so many episodes that they could work with, so they just made up whatever they wanted to. And then that was Fullmetal Alchemist, and then they went back and redid it following the actual manga, and that's what Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is. So you can see how that's a real negative thing, because a lot of people didn't understand, or a lot of people didn't try to go see Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood because they either thought it was a sequel or they thought it was something that essentially um, you had to be a fan of Fullmetal Alchemist to actually want to see. It put off a lot of people from actually seeing it, and it actually is, in certain people's opinions, far superior than the original Fullmetal Alchemist. But again, you can see the negative aspect of them just hurrying along to make an anime without waiting for the source material to be finished. Now, when you have something that's egregiously long like One Piece, and it's insanely popular like One Piece, you can't really buy go this. You can't skip over the fact that the anime needs to keep pushing out everything because they're on a strict schedule to constantly push out everything. Um, so the understanding all these factors is one thing that helps me continue to watch the anime, and then the fact that I've read the manga, so I know what's coming. I know what parts that I'm actually looking forward to. I know what things to look out for. Because I have that mindset, it helps me watch the anime a hell of a lot more. But also, um, because I can take into account that I understand the way how the production and everything happens, also can help me go, I give them a pass on what they're doing because I understand the process that they got to go through to make this. But that doesn't mean everybody who watches One Piece understands what's happening. Typically, a lot of people are just looking at it for the first time, and so they don't understand or know the source material or can identify what the hell is a filler and what isn't a filler. And what One Piece decided to do in order to fix the whole filler issue, instead of constantly making up huge arcs that waste up a ton of time that piss people off, considering that now One Piece is in a certain point in their story where a filler would just do far more harm than it would good, considering the fact that the story itself is so well written and in just this apex of just being in, you're gripping your seat, and then the story is just moving from point A to point B flawlessly. So to create a filler would actually do it far more harm than good, because to implement a brand new story at this stage in One Piece would be ridiculous because they have too many incidents and notions where the entire main cast of characters aren't all put together, or a main character has new powers that they're introducing, or their story's just flawlessly going from one spot to another spot. So to implement or to do anything that would be in filler relation where they make up something brand new would just really screw up their story, and it just takes away from what One Piece has going on right now. So that's one of their problems. The other thing that they're doing is that they're actually still implementing fillers. You just don't know it. And this is one of the other problems that I'm having with watching the show right now. The other way that they were implementing fillers is that they're actually putting fillers in the regular source material content. And I saw this when I started looking at the Big Mom saga, uh, and it pissed me off as I was watching that. And it's just, for someone who actually reads the manga and then seeing that in the anime, it became so unbearably difficult and boring to watch that I just got so annoyed with it. The certain times when jokes are supposed to be a certain way, were supposed to be really quick and they hit, like in the manga, because the anime needs to stretch out everything, they'll even stretch out how a joke is played out. And that's freaking annoying. But what was even more egregious is actually the fights. Oh, the fights. It's really, really, when you get deep into an anime and like continuity becomes a thing for you, it really takes you out of watching it when you're easily able to be dissuaded from stuff happening that just doesn't make any normal sense. In the Whole Cake Island, one of the main things they kept having over and over again is that they constantly had Luffy fight different members of the Big Mom Pirates. And they would actually be random people who would show up that would put up a fight towards Luffy, which immediately took you away from the drawback of how dangerous and how powerful Luffy is supposed to be in comparison to some of the low-level grunt people who would otherwise be nothing to him. Now, in the manga, they never showed him actually face off or go against anyone that required any type of challenge. So what they do now for the fillers is that they would create a challenge. I'm seeing them do it now with the Wano arc, and they did it in the Big Mom arc, and I'm pretty sure they've been doing it prior. I do not like it, and I don't care for it. It is very annoying. But what again? This takes you out of that immersion or the continuity of the series in itself, because of the fact that they're basically implementing characters or having this need of creating a difficulty spike in order to stretch out a certain part in the story to fit the need for them to fill in for more time. And again, it takes away the severity of everything that's going on because a filler period does more harm than it does good. Constantly showcasing or depicting a fight that in a sense the manga had go by in like 2 hits quickly, and then actually having this fight last for up to 15 to 20 minutes is incredibly stupid. So a fight that would take place within 2 panels to show you exactly how much more powerful another character is compared to this other character would be stretched out until you can see both characters do almost ridiculous arsenal of attacks that you've never really seen them do before, in order to showcase, to just stretch out this time. Since they've took the time to animate both these characters in this area, hey, why not animate a fight scene that generally actually doesn't really exist? In order to convey that there's actually action happening, or to keep people far more interested in what's going on. They did this with the Kaido-Luffy clash in the beginning of the Wano arc, and honestly, I was just completely taken away from it because it's really a real quick hitter. Luffy does a surprise attack on Kaido, and then Kaido reverts to his human form, knocks out Luffy, and it's over and done with. The the feel of that is the fact that Luffy was so out of his league when facing Kaido that the only reason he got a hit off in the first place is because of multiple factors. Kaido wasn't paying attention to him, he was drunk, and then Luffy got a surprise hit on him. But when I saw it in the anime, it actually was depicted and animated like it was a legit, straight up fight, almost making you think that it was the final fight pushed towards right now, but it's not. The whole meaning of the moment was that Kaido was just that much stronger than Luffy, which enables and makes sense towards what they have going on now, where he's still kind of training to get stronger, so he's able to fight Kaido. So taking away that aspect really killed me watching it. And it's like, was the fight cool? Not really. That's another problem that they got going on, and I'll get into that later. But it immediately takes you out of watching the series, and it kind of just debunks everything that's going on with me while looking at it. And it's an egregious thing to watch. It's hard to still try and follow it because I'm looking at something that I know is supposed to go this way, so the meaning could carry, but the anime is stretching it and it's losing all of its meaning. It's no longer that huge, oh damn, it kind of just took him out with one swing. It's now, like it took forever for Kaido to actually get a hit off of him. It seemed like they were fighting on equal footing, but it's just that Kaido just doesn't have a mark on him afterwards, and that had to be explained to me. And then he just left, and that's dumb. It took away everything that made the moment of when that happened actually important or a major factor. This also was done in what was another time? It's like I'm losing my train of thought as I'm getting angry, so I'm losing my train of thought while I'm thinking about this and talking about this. But this also happened when characters are, or like moments happen with other characters that aren't main characters or people who were just newly introduced. And when they did this, they stretched out moments when these characters were either go down or when they was just like hyping them up and things like that. And it was just these moments that are just supposed to be a quick introduction or a quick incident with them in order to keep the pacing of the story to constantly go forward. It just ruined it, and it's just blatantly slapping you in the face. This is important. This is important. This is important, and it's like I know that it's important because I've read ahead. But I can see someone else who would just understand at the formula that they're using now, that'll let you know that what's happening right now isn't really that. It's not as big of a deal as all these surrounding characters are trying to make it be. Because I can tell that this isn't really what it's going to be, or this isn't really what it's supposed to do. One of the things when Luffy attacked Kaido was the fact that he thought his crew was dead. But the long-standing, drawn-out motion of his crew actually getting attacked, and then Luffy fighting Kaido, and then the fact that his fight with Kaido was then stretched out so he could actually sit there and reminisce about a character who they didn't show anymore. He wasn't mad at Kaido because of his crew. He was mad at Kaido because of a little girl that he just met prior. But he's still supposed to have the mindset and the anger in him that his crew was killed. So all of that is taken away now because they decided to fill in for time and add in this other bullshit. So completely ruining the entire reasoning and the meaning behind everything that's going on. Luffy rushing, he's not really thinking straight. He believes his friends are hurt, so he's going to fight. Kaido would then immediately take notice of Luffy being there and knocks his ass out real quick and is like, damn, that's dope. That's deep. I'm interested now. Like, man, Luffy was the guy all this time, and Kaido just laid him out like it was nothing. Like, so that's a big deal. And it's just that the anime does not give you this. It took, like, essentially when Kaido took out Luffy, that was like one chapter, and the anime kind of stretched this out to the whole incident when Kaido knocked out Luffy, and then Luffy got taken away, to being it's damn near like 3 episodes. Like when Kaido first did his attack, Luffy getting mad, attacking Kaido, him and Kaido fighting, and then Kaido knocking him out, and then Luffy getting taken away to jail. It easily covered up at least like 3 episodes. So you can understand, and like what I iterated earlier, a chapter takes up just half of one episode. So to stretch out a chapter into 3 episodes on their own, fucking ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So that makes it incredibly hard to watch, annoyingly annoying pacing wise, and it just takes away all immersion from watching the anime because there's really nothing significant going on that hits as well as it's supposed to hit in the manga because it's all just taken out of it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention, what I was talking about, is the fact that the 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 production of the fights and the fight scenes that they have. This is also an annoying thing. Toei Animation is the people who back One Piece. if you didn't know, Toei Animation also backs Dragon Ball Z, um, or Fuji TV or TV Tokyo. It really doesn't matter. Toei kind of handles all of that. Um, but Toei Animation typically does children anime, so their stuff is a hell of a lot more lighthearted. One Piece over the years has tend to grow with its audience, so they tend to have more blood and violence and stuff like that, and harsher scenes. So when Toei gets it in the anime, and then it's being taken away, and then they're putting it on TV, and then they're basically, uh, I wouldn't go so far as to say censoring, but just omitting a lot of the violence and death that One Piece actually conveys, and they have, in order to keep themselves within a nice kid-friendly audience, is kind of ridiculous. Um, I mean, to like in the beginning, One Piece was incredibly violent, incredibly bloody, and even now it's still violent and bloody. But they now more so opt out a lot of the killings and stuff that do happen in One Piece in order to show a more friendlier approach to what be happening. So a lot of the times when characters are attacked on screen, rather than them actually being dead, they'll just be knocked out. And in the manga, they'll actually have moments where they'll iterate and tell that, yo, this character is dead, or these people are dead. But in the anime, they don't give no such report. Now, this goes into the fighting mechanic, because, you see, Toei has this ridiculous need, like every other anime production company, that they don't really give it their all um, for everything. The anime will always have corners cut. The original Dragon Ball Z anime had a hell of a lot of corners cut, and One Piece is no exception, despite the fact that Toei has money. Um, so one of the things that they do is that basically they'll draw out and have just these ridiculous frames, which all akins towards filler. They'll have these ridiculous frames that'll be stretched out, and basically you'll see a character move just in 4 different frames over and over and over again. And this depicts a fight scene. This is something that was used in Dragon Ball Z a hell of a lot. And it's not an anime technique that's going away anytime soon, because it's honestly it's an okay depiction of an action scene. And as far as anime goes, it's a staple that people have just gotten completely used to. But it's lazy. It always has been lazy. It always will be lazy. And the reason that this is egregiously lazy is because One Piece is one of the biggest anime that exists right now, and two, because of the fact that One Piece has fantastic fight animation scenes. That's the real kicker in the balls right there. Dragon Ball Z lacked finances. It also had a crazy production schedule, as well as constantly being censored over and over and over again. One Piece is one of the biggest animes that's out right now, and it typically doesn't really have that many censoring issues outside of what I said before. Um, Nor does it have a lot of money not going towards it because they feel like it's like a long shot of an anime. Dragon Ball Z popularity built up over time. One Piece popularity is at its peak right now. Um, so it it's ridiculous that they don't actually improve the animation as One Piece goes on to make a lot of the scenes crisper, a lot of the things clearer. But instead, they only tend to do it on certain fight scene animations or certain small animations that typically either have no range or no importance and whatnot, in order to either fill in time or to just let you know, like, hey, if we change it up right here, it won't be the same 4 frames over and over and over again. And and it's stupid. It's so stupid because it's so blatantly obvious when they do it. It's obvious when any anime does it. But again, it's like I know why, but that doesn't mean I fucking agree with it. I understand why they do that in the anime. I understand why they need to do that for the anime to progress, or why they need to do that in order to save money. But at this point in time with One Piece, it's not something that I would agree to because of how big and how much of a moneymaker One Piece is. One Piece just recently had a movie that sold out in Japan. for weeks when it was in theaters before all this bullshit that's happening now happened. It was the Stampede movie. It was in theaters, and as soon as it opened up, it sold out. And that's a testament to exactly how popular One Piece is. It hasn't lost its fan base. And the multitude of people who actually showed up in the theaters to go see it were children. So it still hits with kids, even though the damn thing is over 20 years old. So, again, that's just a testament to One Piece. I mean, it's the same thing happened to Sonic the Hedgehog. So, there's absolutely nothing to fault them on that. But at the same time, they don't put the effort in keeping One Piece fresh, original, more interesting, far more visually appealing than a lot of other anime like they should, because of the fact that it's a bigger named anime. I mean, it was one of the big three, for God's sakes, and honestly the more popular of the big three, considering that it's still going on today and is still reigning popular. So it is the reigning champ of popularity right now, even today. So I I just have so many things that I'm upset at in watching the One Piece anime, because of the fact that it just refuses to just to do anything better, And it's like it's it's the same. Well, it's not even the fact that it's the same shit over and over again, but essentially the anime itself is starting to become a chore to watch. I'm not enjoying myself looking at the anime. I've seen older parts of One Piece even after I've read it or watched it over and over again. Well, I'll still enjoy it. Fight scenes, duh. But certain story elements or certain moments that pop up in One Piece that just generally made me incredibly happy or I like watching, I they don't have that anymore, because everything is either stretched out for filler, or certain moments and things like that kind of are hit and miss depending on exactly how they decide to depict it. A perfect example of a anime that kind of understood exactly what manga they were dealing with is a Disastrous Life of Psyche. If you don't know what that is, like, it's an anime it's a very funny comedy anime in my opinion. But the anime itself, if you read the manga just constantly has a lot of speech and whatnot, because it's about a main character who can read minds. So him being able to read people's minds is an added factor, so he understands what people are saying. So you get to hear people's expressions on what they're thinking about in the current situation, as well as what he's thinking about, and then what the other characters are talking about. And honestly, it's incredibly enjoyable and hilarious, because he's annoyed at the fact that he can hear these people's inner thoughts, and he honestly doesn't want to hear them. Like, the people that surround him are weird, and he don't like that. He don't like being able to hear what they're thinking, because he doesn't really care for their mindset, because a lot of them are crazy, and it's fantastic. But the anime, basically, like, the manga just reads out like a regular normal manga, and it's a comedy, so it's just, you read the stuff and it's funny. If, chapters are funny. If it's not funny, then it's not. If it is, then it is. The anime, in order to fix this, one of the ways to make the comedy actually funnier is that they speed up the dialogue. So as the anime is going, everyone's actually talking faster than normally. So it speeds up the dialogue, and then typically one chapter in the manga is put into at least half of an episode of the actual full-blown episode. At first it was released as like 15-minute short episodes, and then because of its popularity, when they did the second season, they made it full-blown episodes, but it still be cut up into little snippets if they could, because they were just rushing along in the dialogue and the stories progressed that way. And even the original creator himself said when he first saw the anime and he saw that they sped it up, he didn't really care for it. He didn't think that that was funny or it was something that anyone would enjoy, because when he wrote it and he created the manga, he didn't hear it being said like that. But then he got the positive feedback from people watching the episodes, and he was like, oh man, like, people really love it. They find it hilarious that they're talking that fast, and at the same time they can still understand the jokes, they still understand the story, and like they haven't done anything to mess with my story. They're just talking really fast. But they're able to condense these long drawn out speeches that they have within the chapters into short little excerpts that are funnier because they're said faster and then put into the episodes. And so it all was well and good. It was fantastic, and it's hilarious, and it's really funny. And I find that You know, that's basically the ideal of a hit in terms of doing a manga adaptation and putting it into the anime. While as with what's happening with One Piece now is basically struggling through constantly keeping up with production value. I mean, One Piece has to constantly push out episodes. They don't really get a break like, say, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan. These shows that typically come out for a couple of 24 episodes or to a season and then decide to basically go on break for like damn near a whole year where they can just put their all into each and every episode, then release more episodes. One Piece does not have this luxury. They have to keep pumping out episode after episode after episode. There really is no break with these people. In fact, as far as I know, I don't really think that they ever do stop. Really, like they're always constantly working. And then it's even weirder considering that the manga gets on hiatus quite a bit. Like they get on hiatus quite a few times. And again, so they have to compromise this need of pumping out episodes, but at the same time being too fast and catching up to the manga that they have to fill in all this crazy filler time. But it's such a turnoff because it's ruining the overall story and the feel of One Piece. It's egregious. And like, honestly, I know for a fact that they never will do it. They never would do it. But it would be totally fine if they was to take a break for half a season and pump out episodes. Or let the manga get further along so they can then pump out more episodes. But they're never going to. That would be the opt thing to do. That's literally what Naruto did. Naruto released 100 episodes of filler. The series was going, they got to a breaking point, and then they just made 100 episodes of just blatant bullshit. And they released it, people watched it, people were interested in the stories, people looked at it for a very long time. A lot of people thought it was all true and connected to everything that was going on. All of it, complete bullshit. And then they came back, renamed the series. The manga's still called just Naruto, but the new series is called Naruto Shippuden. One of the things that people don't understand is that Naruto Shippuden is not different from Naruto. They, it's the same thing. It literally is the same thing. But they had to break away from it in order for people to forget about the 100 episodes that they made that were crap. So they won't think that it's connected or it's a sequel continuing on with what they made, but in order to make people far more interested in what's new that they're going to have, which is going to be following the rest of the manga. So then they called it Shippuden. But after they released 100 episodes, there was a huge break in Naruto. They knew they were going to come back to something that was going to need episode after episode after episode. So then they gave them a huge break. They let the manga get further along. They released a bunch of crap, filler-wise. Let the manga get it further along. I mean, 100 weeks worth of chapters. If Naruto itself released a chapter each week, and then the anime made filler episodes, 100 different filler episodes, so the manga itself can do at least over 100 different episodes, 100 different chapters they can release. Then they gave even a longer break before they released Naruto Shippuden, which then allowed the manga to get even further along. So then, when it came time for them to start doing new stuff for Naruto Shippuden, the manga was so far ahead, and they had so much stuff to work with that when they did do fight scenes or when they did have the animation and all the characters come back, they were able to make the pacing actually enjoyable and congruent with what was going on. One of the other things that Naruto does, and it's the same thing that One Piece does in order to actually help with filler, is flashbacks. But that's its own other problem, which is incredibly annoying in One Piece, and honestly, I consider it's almost as egregious as Naruto's was, but One Piece is a hell of a lot more annoying at the pace that they're going at now. It became far more annoying now than it did before, but with Naruto, it was always bad. But now with One Piece, it's starting to get as bad. It's not as bad, but it is bad. And that was basically the only way Naruto did filler. But what they did with that is that they actually would go back and make flashbacks almost of full episodes. Like certain episodes would be full-blown flashbacks. And even then they would still do filler arcs and whatnot into the episodes of Shippuden. So they didn't really stop the bad of what they were doing, but they did improve on it by just taking a break and letting it, everything transpire the way that it needed to in order for their content to be crisp and follow along without them messing up or anything like that. And honestly, it'd be cool if One Piece did that, but it's I just I don't see them doing that because of how late in the game it is. One Piece is, by the artist's rendition, at least 80% done. It's almost over with. Um, so, I mean, it's going to be a while before it is over with, but it's supposedly almost over with. And with having that aspect and that mindset towards it, there really is no chance for them to be able to just pump the brakes on it right now. Haven't really had a moment where they could do something like that. If anything, the 2 year arc like Naruto did would have been perfect, but again, that would have been just copying Naruto, which was copying Dragon Ball Z, who changed everything after a year span, like after a huge chunk of time passed, and then they renamed and rebranded everything. But with Dragon Ball Z, they made a point to do that. Dragon Ball Z was far more an action-oriented show, which was the new direction they was changing everything into, and Dragon Ball was an adventure series, an action adventure, if you will. So Naruto basically just copied that. That's what the show did. What it did, called itself Shippuden, like much like Dragon Ball Z called itself Z. But with Dragon Ball, Z is actually a brand new show. It legit is a brand new show. The manga was called Dragon Ball Z. In Naruto, it's just Naruto. I do not like Naruto, but I digress. So like it really would be hard for One Piece to do something like that, to where they could just break off and call themselves something different, or to give themselves good enough pause in order to keep its popularity, its rankings, and all that stuff, the ratings and all that good stuff. Essentially, Toei would be losing money if they were to put a pause on One Piece just to let it, air out so they can refresh it, have crisper animation, do better with the animation and everything like that. They're not going to. I know why they're not going to, and it's annoying that they're not going to, but it's understandable. Oh, it just annoys the hell out of me. Which is why I wanted to bring this up and talk about all this in the first place. Oh. So what exactly does all of this mean? Well, I don't hate One Piece now. That could be further from the truth. I'm still very much invested into the story. It's just now when I watch the anime, I have a different process of watching it. I skip over a hell of a lot of content because it is not necessary. One of the other major egregious things that they do with their flashbacks now is that instead of actually being a flashback that is used for exposition, like bringing up a character that basically has long since passed, or a situation that happened damn near 50 episodes ago, in order to refresh that episode's moment is still significant to right now in the anime, they'll tend to bring up flashbacks of stuff that happened 2 to 3 episodes ago. Stuff that's still fresh in your mind. A moment when they're like, wait, Luffy did what? And then like the whole show will pause to re-show a flashback of something that you just saw yesterday. So, or like you saw last week. So then it makes you wonder, like, why did you need to waste time to do a flashback like that? This is something Naruto did all the time. And the fact that now One Piece is implementing the same process is just as annoying. But it's not like they just started doing this. They've been doing this for a while, but it's still a very annoying factor that is used to encroach and make up filler. And it's a bad practice. It's a bad practice because it's not necessary. People aren't that stupid. Real quick, for it's like flashbacks for exposition, but not necessary for filler. That's all the mindset that you need to have. But again, it's it's what they do to increase their filler time, and it's bullshit, but it's what they do. So my process now is that I basically would recommend to anybody, if you're someone who is opted to read manga over watching it, which is not a lot of people, but it's still something I highly recommend, then yeah, I would say read One Piece. It's a hell of a lot better than it would be to actually watch it. Because to watch all 920 something episodes right now off rip, when you could be watching something that's like 13 episodes and is just an amazing story that's actually finished, Um, like that. It's really that's not really a fight that you could really win in an argument standpoint. I can't really explain to someone that, One Piece gets so amazing where it is right now because characters are starting to do stuff that other people might seem as interesting. Whereas they have to go through so many arcs and incidents and character building and character dynamics and storytelling in order for it to get to this one cool aspect of the series that I really care for and like. But the anime is not helping in sustaining this because it has so many egregious factors that are making the anime right now, currently, that much harder to watch and look at. So it's like I would opt to tell someone, yeah, definitely read One Piece rather than watching it. You honestly might find it a hell of a lot better. And then while you're reading it, you pick out moments that you would like to see animated in fights. And then just look up those fight scenes. Because honestly, that's how I got into One Piece in the first place. I generally looked up and watched, I was watching the anime, and then I saw that they had fight scenes later on in the Japanese version. This was back before I started watching sub stuff. So when I saw that they had fight scenes, I looked up the fight scenes, and then I was like, who is this character? Who is that character? Why is Luffy red? And then that just made me just, like, I just dropped everything, and I was like, I wasn't into reading subtitles at the time, but I did get into reading manga. So then I just started reading the manga. And it was like, I did the same thing with Naruto. I did the same thing with um, a lot of other anime and manga at the time, and it's one of the things that got me into manga. And I'm far more of a manga reader than I am an anime watcher. I mean, believe me, I watch tons of anime, but I just have read far more content than I have watched. And honestly, I've grown to know that there's a lot more content out there in the manga that they aren't going to make into an anime because of how much gruesomer, more um, less tactful, or far more egregious with their content that will just really disrupt Japanese media, period, from actually being out there. Um, aka Battle Royale. If you don't know what Battle Royale is, you're not on my level. Honestly, that Battle Royale over Attack on Titan all day long. But I digress. It it's just that One Piece has basically put itself into a corner right now where they can't escape. The series hasn't done it. The anime series itself at this point in time is in a corner for me simply because I know what I know, and then it's like I know what I know about the industry, and I know what I know about One Piece in general. So it's a double whammy for me. I cannot really sit back and enjoy the anime because honestly, I I already know the story. There's no reason for me to actually care about the pacing because of the story or to hear the dialogue or anything like that because I already know the story. I read the manga. There's really no reason for me to excuse the flashback or the egregious fillers that they add into the anime and everything because I don't care for the process in which fillers are done in order to stretch out to save money or to basically uh, what I forgot the fucking word I was gonna say, or to just stretch out content in order to make sure that they're able to keep pumping out episode after episode without really doing that much for the animation. So, and it's like these things are things I don't agree with. So when implemented into any anime, I will be turned off from it. But now I'm at a standpoint where realistically I look at One Piece episodes just to see certain incidents, jokes, or moments that essentially I would find incredibly funny or laugh at. And then I just watch the anime at that point. But I don't need to watch the full episode in order to get that. Like right now, the episode that's going to come out next is going to be when they introduce Queen at the at the um at the prison where Luffy is being kept at. And that's actually a funny scene for me when I read it. I remember that being a funny scene when I read it. So when I saw that that was going to be the next episode, I was upset that I caught up already. So that wouldn't be the next episode that I see because I was actually looking forward to seeing that part in the anime. So now I have to wait for the anime in order to see that one scene. But I don't care to see the rest of the episode. I just want to see that one scene. So you see how it's a double whammy for me. So I still enjoy the anime. There is a lot to enjoy out of the anime if you're someone who stuck with it for this long. Um, they they have improved greatly. They have greatly improved their fight scenes. The Luffy versus Katakuri fight is the best One Piece fight that they've had so far. I mean, it blows the socks off of Luffy well, it doesn't blow the socks off. It's up there with Luffy versus Lucci. Um, and so it it's like they're improving in certain elements that make the series still enjoyable and quite good. And but at the same time, it's just they're cutting corners and they're doing everything that they possibly can to stretch out this content in order to make sure that they're able to still keep One Piece up in the running. And again, because I know the ins and outs of how the industry work and everything like that, I understand these things, but I cannot forgive these things. Hell, I even know for a fact if One Piece was to take a break, like how I would like for them to do, in order to keep the pacing of the manga the correct way, or to shell out a lot of the forced fillers that they keep implementing and made up fights that they try to add on all the time that make no sense, in order to have well balanced fight scenes and better animation for the anime as a whole, a lack of explanation of flashbacks and a lack of flashbacks in general, all of that would have to, and like in order for all of that to go away, if they were to do something like that, the popularity and the standing that One Piece has today also has to go away. You don't know what I mean? Let's look at how anime is generally done, even though they go out in seasonal. Attack on Titan was supposedly one of the most popular anime once upon a time. They took off 4 years. 4 years! That's a long freaking time. I mean, that's just, this is a bad example, but that's an egregious time. But they took off 4 years and basically a bunch of anime already, like, destroyed it in the runnings. One Piece being one of those animes. Attack on Titan was one of the biggest things in America, but it still didn't beat the popularity of One Piece. Even today, you had My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia came out seasonal. They basically would come out every year with a brand new season, and even to this day, it still isn't beating One Piece, and even now, that's gotten overshadowed by Demon Slayer. And you know, it's like, what's going to be the next thing to overshadow Demon Slayer? Because right now, all they're proving is that they're the most popular currently, while One Piece is still a congruent anime pumping out episode after episode that's still in the top running as one of the biggest animes out there. The only thing that is following suit in making an anime currently, that's just episode after episode still pumping out, never stopping, is Black Clover, as well as I believe Baruto still doing it as well. And Baruto is now a shell of what Naruto used to be, and Black Clover is honestly one of the more correct paths in which an anime would keep up with the pacing of the manga, because Black Clover is actually a very fast paced manga. So the anime handling itself that way is actually very good and quite enjoyable. Um, when it does get to its flashback and its fillers, I mean, it does like every other anime does, and it fills in for time, but they still generally keep up good with the pacing. It's just that Black Clover is one of those things where like a lot of people don't really jump off into like that. It was brought up as a Naruto clone. A lot of people didn't really get interested into it, but it's been proven. It's proven its worth, as it still is popular and it's still ongoing, and it's actually still quite enjoyable. So you have that. But at any point in time, if Black Clover was to just up and stop, oh, that's it. That it's over with. It does not have the longevity and the popularity that One Piece has in order to carry it to keep going if it was to make a pause. Um, if anything, I would say another anime that has this example, well, basically would be if if One Piece was to do a pause, would be Inuyasha. And if you like, again, if you don't remember what Inuyasha is, then Jesus Christ. But Inuyasha basically went through the same issue that Naruto did, had over 100 episodes worth of filler, just abruptly stopped. Then took years till after the manga actually completed, and then they decided to opt to actually finish the anime. And as far as I know, no one I know has actually seen the end of Inuyasha. I haven't seen the end of Inuyasha. I've seen every episode of Inuyasha, I don't know how many goddamn times. Adult Swim played it all the time. But yet, when they were like, Inuyasha, the final chapter, they're finally going to finish it, I was just like, who cares? And it's like, at that point in time, who gave a damn? I don't really care to see the end of this. It And it's sad. It's sad that it's like that. It's sad that I still feel that way. I don't care to look at the new old episode, the new old episodes of Inuyasha. I don't care that it's over with. I don't care who Kagome ends up with. I don't care who Inuyasha ends up with. I don't care if Moroku didn't die. None of that matters anymore. It just didn't matter anymore. They lost their place. And Inuyasha was one of the biggest animes of all time. And yet and yet it went away, and then when it tried to come back, it crashed and burned. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Because it's just everyone can't get that fairy tale story like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon constantly pops out with brand new anime, and they're insanely popular. People still watch it like crazy. They have movies and everything, redid of the entire series, and it's insanely popular. Dragon Ball Z came back with Dragon Ball Super. It's stupid, horrible, dumb. Dragon Ball Super is just a convoluted mess that has no connection to Dragon Ball Z in any relation that is of continuity correct. But Dragon Ball Super is insanely popular. They stopped, did a movie, gonna do another movie, and then come back with the come back with the series again, and it'll still be popular. Because Dragon Ball Z is the greatest anime of all time. So, like, you can't really beat that. But right now, One Piece is just teetering on that line to where if they screw up one good time, they're fucked. So they have to keep going at the way that they're going, or they're going to do bad. But at the same time, the way that they're going is just making the anime just become this bland mess where unless they actually implement with these crazy action fight scenes that make people hyped and awed at whatever they got going on, you don't really care about what's happening in the anime. And like I said, the manga is really the only thing that's doing it for me. It really is. But trying to go back, seeing all this stuff that's being, like, the story or anything like that being said within the anime, I just don't care for it. I can rewatch Dragon Ball Z all day long. The story does not bore me like that. I can't do that One Piece. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, pizza. Pizza and a Big Mac. I'll mix it up. So, it's just, I'm not happy that I feel this way about One Piece, but watching it has basically made my cynicism come up. Is that a word? Is that a word I can say? I don't know. I don't know if that's the correct way to say that. I'm becoming a cynic watching One Piece now. And it's driving me insane. I mean, I'm a cynic when I watch anything, but it's just I didn't want it to be that way with One Piece. I like One Piece. I enjoy One Piece. Luffy is one of my favorite anime characters. I love his power structure. I love the fact that he's a paramecia type cursed fruit user. And I say cursed fruit. That's right. I like the 4Kids version of One Piece. That's how much of a fan of One Piece I am. God damn it. I still say cursed fruit, even though it's been years since I've heard it. And the only people I ever say that to is my little brother, who also says cursed fruit. It's devil fruit, God damn it. But I don't care. Hell, I like the fact, like, if you didn't even know, I said paramecia type. You know that? Paramecia, Zoan, Liago, Logia. I said Liago. Logia. Liago was the bad way for kids said it, if I remember correctly. Or was that me and my illiteracy? D is for dyslexia. But I'm sad at the rate at which the anime is going, because now all I gotta look forward to is just knowing what parts I actually care about and then re-seeing those parts. One of the things that turned me off for watching One Piece now was the flashbacks. I hate reading about the flashbacks as they take up so much content within the manga, and then knowing that they stretch out everything as much as they do, filler-wise, when you see a flashback, it just makes it 1,000 times worse. And so there's really no point, because the Odin flashback is coming up, and honestly, there's really nothing interesting about the Odin flashback, except for when they show Gold Roger. And they will show Gold Roger, they show Whitebeard. It's actually incredibly funny when they do it, and I enjoyed it, reading it at those parts, but I was able to quickly go through those because they were pages, you know? While as what we got going on now is an anime series that just likes to stretch itself out for time and doesn't really give you much of anything to just be able to accept all of One Piece. So I'm sad that One Piece is doing what it's doing now. And honestly, I wish it wasn't. I wish it was just, I wish they was able to let it, let the manga go way far ahead, and then they come at the animation with each episode the same way how they come at it when they do a fight scene. Whenever they actually get into wanting to do the characters correctly, they don't add in bland fights that continuity wise don't make any sense when Luffy going up to certain people, or have incidents that kind of distill away from what's going on because they desperately need to invoke a flashback for exposition as well as for filler. I wish it didn't have all of these problems, because these problems are things that would make me not watch an anime for any other anime. Like, if any other anime had these problems, I would drop it immediately. But because of the fact that it's One Piece, I'm at this terrible crossroads. I would love to see the end of One Piece in the anime, but the route in which I have to go in order to see it that way is just, it's too much of a chore. And I don't like that. And it's hard to say, but basically now it's just like I have to reiterate from the beginning. It's now becoming a chore to try and enjoy One Piece. And that would make anybody not like something. Okay. So that's all I had to say on that subject. And I just had to get that off my chest, since I sat here and just watched a bunch of One Piece episodes to catch up to it, and it just been bubbling in my head this entire time while I'm watching it. I'm skipping episodes and whatnot. So I was like, yo, Dan, you need to say something. Like, who am I saying to? You just say it to the world, baby. You say it to the world. And so I did. So, hey, if you feel that, One Piece, the anime, is still kicking, by all means, let me know. You can reach me at heytheflame@gmail.com. And just definitely, I would say, if you are a fan of One Piece anime, keep watching it. It's gonna get so much better. And like, I can't wait for it to end. I can't wait for them to implement brand new stuff and finally reveal so many secrets that they've had over all these years. The fact that it's still so popular just gives me hope that they're gonna keep going with the bad boy. Just got nothing but high expectations for One Piece. It might be the very first anime to have such a long running series and then end proper. I mean, hell, Naruto had 50 episodes of filler before it got to its last 50 episodes. Was it 50 episodes? They had a bunch of filler in, like, having these people have those weird dreams when they were stuck in that the Tsukuyomi thing, and everyone just had to let it happen. But it's like, wasn't a part of it or anything. It's just, but everyone had to sit back and let it happen. So that's rape mentality. I don't want One Piece to violate me like that. Oh no, I got innocence. That's a funny joke as well as a D Gray Man joke. Don't know what D Gray Man is? That's good for you. D Gray Man got some great opening theme songs. So, well, everybody, I would like to say adios. So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. This has been Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame, and I hope you guys had fun. Also, be sure to check out the original home of the Fun with Flame podcast over at Anchor.fm. I upload there first and far more frequently than I do YouTube, and you should definitely go there to listen to some of my podcasts that are just too hot for YouTube to handle. So check out Anchor.fm for more Fun with Flame content. Be sure to subscribe and click any of the links in the description to see all of the other things that I am associated with, if you just want a little bit more of that Daniel the Flame in your life.